In 1970, I was born. The first arms that held me was my dad. Mum, she didn't really love me. She was more in love with the alcohol or the bottle than anything. She wasn't prepared to look after a child. But Dad, it was a different story. Dad was prepared to go out and work really hard to get bread and butter on the table and make sure that I was looked after and cared for and loved. So while Mum was out drinking in the pub, getting drunk, Dad was out working extremely hard. The only thing that was on his mind was looking after his little daughter, and that was me, and always making sure that I was fed and looked after well. He tried to reason with Mum, but it was pretty hard to reason with someone who only loved alcohol. Then welfare services came involved and decided that they would make the decision of who was the best, the mum, the dad, or CSV as it was called, but now known as Department of Human Services. The decision was made that I would be made as a ward of the state. Yet I wanted Dad and Dad wanted me. It was the most heartbreaking time when we were separated. I loved Dad so much and Dad loved me. Both of us hurt, but we had no choice over the welfare system. But they had made their choice already. Dad had a job. Dad had an income. So there was no problems really. Most of all, Dad loved me. Loved me because I was his daughter. And yes, he was never going to give up on me. But welfare didn't see it that way. So they placed me in a foster home. And that foster home turned to be pretty bad, where I was nothing but mentally and physically abused. Part of the abuse was actually being called a spooked by the foster parents. That's what they called me. So because of them thinking that I was a spook or scary in some way, I was only very young, 6 years old, and I was made to watch a movie which was called Burnt Offerings. It was a movie that scared me like crazy. A creepy chauffeur, dark glasses, a grin, horrible cynical grin, and I was made to watch that over and over again, and as many times as I said, no, I don't want to watch this movie, I had to watch it because, once again, as my foster parents always said, you are a spook. So that was my punishment, to watch that horror movie. When I was 7, I'd stopped talking to my dad. I was angry with him. I guess I was angry with him for many reasons, but really, it wasn't Dad's fault. Nothing was Dad's fault. But being so young, I couldn't see it that way. All I wanted was my dad, and because I couldn't see him, I was angry with him. So I stopped talking to him. At the age of 11, I was adopted. I thought they were okay people. 13 people in the family. But little did I know that I was actually being deceived and forced into this family, which was actually a cult. I had no idea what a cult was at that time, but all I knew was that I was continually being brainwashed and mind control techniques saying that I was a bad person, that I was a sinner, that everything I did was wrong. And everything I did was wrong. My punishment was being put in the cellar. We had a cellar downstairs, and I had to stay there for sometimes as long as 3-4 days. And it'd be cold, lonely, scary, and be pretty dark. And there was no way I could get out of that cellar. If I wasn't in the cellar, I would be in my room, but the door would be locked, where I couldn't get out. So there was no way out. I was told by the cult members that I would die and go to hell because I would never get out, as far as they were concerned. I was told not to say anything to anyone about it, because if I did, I would get in trouble and I would be hurt. I was also hungry, because quite often I would have to go without food. While I would have to sit down and watch 13 people eat a big plate of food, and I had to sit and watch with an empty plate. And that was because, as they said, you can't eat because you're a sinner. So to me that was pretty hard to live with. But everything they told me, I did believe in them, because I think that's where the brainwashing and mind control techniques come into it. And so it deeply is indented within. And I did want to see my dad still, but it was as if everyone in my life then had stopped all contact with my dad. And through the times of the darkness, the loneliness, I'd sometimes whisper, "Dad, where are you?" Little did I know that Dad was on the other end somewhere, fighting for me and saying he wants me back. Still, he wasn't going to give up. But that's Dad for you. Dad works in the USA as a firefighter, and soon he will arrive in Australia and be back on Australian soil again. Regularly, day to day, we have phone contacts, and our conversations we cherish every moment. So, when I do reunite with Dad, I know that this time it will be forever. Dad and I could be angry at the system, as the system failed, but we put all that behind us, and we live for today and for the future.
That you would be the one. A chance to talk, a chance to grow. I'll take the risk, let my feelings flow. I found the words I need to say. just you. It's
Dad is currently working overseas. Uh, his dad is currently working overseas. Yeah, he's a hero, as many would say. But, okay, he might be a firefighter, but he's more than a firefighter to me. We've had lots and lots of conversations together, um, over the phone, and we've really, really cherished those moments recently, while I've been here at Hanover. Um, you realise, I don't know what you bloody realise. Dad is working overseas. Dad is currently working overseas. Yes, many would say he's a firefighter. Dad works in the USA as a firefighter. Soon he will be arriving on Australian soil again. Regularly. Dad is currently a firefighter overseas. And yes, many would say he is a hero. To me, he is my hero as his daughter. I love him very, very much. And yes, when I do get to shit, Dad is working overseas as a firefighter. And yes, to many people would say he is. You have to cough right while I'm recording. Dad had a stable job. Dad had a regular income. Dad was competent. Hang on, someone's at reception. Shit. Oh, shit, how do I press stop? Alright, someone's at reception, okay. Dad works in the USA as a firefighter, and soon he will arrive in Australia and be back on Australian soil again. Regularly day to day, we have phone contacts, and our conversations we cherish every moment. So, when I do reunite with Dad, I know that this time it will be forever. Dad and I could be angry at the system, as the system failed, but we put all that behind us, and we live for today and for the future.